In the heart of the East End at 105 Barking Road lies more than just bricks and mortar. It's a testament to the enduring spirit of radical social justice, etched into its very foundation since the 1890s.
Originally built as a public hall for the Corporation of the Borough of West Ham, it quickly became a community asset and epicentre of change. Over the decades, it has been host to suffragettes like Sylvia Pankhurst and local hero Adelaide Knight, pioneers like Will Thorne and Eleanor Marks, building a workers' rights movement that grew into a mighty trade union still standing today.
In 1993, the torch of community empowerment was passed to the legendary Community Links charity. Their impact was so profound that The Guardian dubbed them as the authors of the playbook for neighbourhood revival. And the story continues. In 2017, Community Links joined with Catch-22, fortifying its mission and expanding its reach.
Together, they continue to breathe life into the wonderful building, ensuring that it continues to be a place of light and hope for all those that come through these doors.
I would say Community Links exists as a bit of a conduit between service user and service providers. So a bridge between people providing services, professional services, as well as people in the community who are vulnerable and need our service as well. I'd also say then we are able to add value to a singular service. So for instance, if somebody comes through a door needing immediate food and basics for a food bank, we're able to also then signpost them onto other services. So looking at their broader perspective around barriers, which might be their welfare benefits, any depths of looking at their advice perspective, whether it's something to do with their mental health. So looking at the Community Connection project we work with. So just giving them a more holistic offer rather than a more linear service is how I define us at Community Links.
And I think many of our services can sort of fall slightly into what you'd expect to get through sort of statutory services, so particularly when we work with the NHS, for example, or other things. But actually we bring sort of our USP is that we're community, we are the community links to the people that are receiving the services. It's not some faceless bureaucrat that's there and people are having to access services through. We're kind of that community link, which is why I love the name Community Links so much. It really does what it says on the tin.
Absolutely. And that's important at a time, I think, where a lot of services now are just pivoting to digital and remote. You know, we're very much here in the community, having that asset, which is the building, an ex-town hall, a public building, a Grade 2 listed building, which is incredibly privileged to sort of look after and sort of support with. But just having that element that we are there for the community, so they can come in and see us face to face, or other means too. So that's important.
It's been a real privilege to work for Catch, and especially in this building, which has so much history to it. It's a Grade 2 listed building from the 1890s, and we've had some amazing people here, suffragettes such as Sylvia Pankhurst, Eleanor Marks, Will Thorne, Adelaide Knight. They've all been hosted in this building, so it has such an amazing significance in terms of history. So obviously it's a great privilege to have so many services working under the one roof, and we do have various teams from Catch, whether that be Justice or Employability or Community Links, all working here. And one of the key things that we wanted to do is to try to make it a really comfortable space for everyone. Created a reflection space as well as a well-being room here. And I think one of the wonderful things about this is that it's enabling us to communicate between the various services so that we can really collaborate and work together towards helping our service users.
I think the thing about Community Links or Catch-22 is there's so many different services, especially in this building. It's like you can have a conversation about anything, whether it's advice, whether it's culture, whether it's mental health, whether it's health, whether it's justice. It's like you can have a conversation about anything and find out what other people do, and that's what I like doing, is just finding out more about other people's services, what they do, and essentially we just have a conversation about the services that they offer.
Yeah, you've got so many different services working here, different specialities, different age groups, and I think it's just got a really good community feel, and it just means that, like, for instance, even if we're working with an older service user, for instance, like here on a Friday, they run like a bingo that they do in the town hall. That has nothing usually to do with our services or our kind of people involved, but if we knew someone was struggling with kind of feeling like a lot of isolation in Newham and that kind of thing, we can speak to, I could just have a casual conversation with someone else who's working in this building, see if they could attend, and then that's a really nice, like, community thing outside of our service that they can then engage with and bring them a lot of like joy. Same thing as well, I know they have like I think they've got a digital skills program here, because obviously sometimes I'll peer down and I see kind of what's going on in the hall, and there'll be kind of like, you know, people teaching them about the basics of kind of like the internet and all this kind of access. And again, if we had a service user who was struggling there, it's quite nice. We don't necessarily have to go online and be like, oh, you can go to this place and be like, oh, just come here on a Tuesday, come here on a thingy, or we can speak to our different colleagues and see what support would work best for them. So I think it is a very unique build in that respect, and it's really good that we have so many different like organisations here that can support each other.
We've run events here in the Community Links building in Neighbours Hall, which is a large hall which has a huge history of being a space for the community.
One great example is we're working with a really vulnerable family that was actually referred to the studio, and we found out the parent was actually doing a course in Community Links via another college, and it was just a beautiful thing because we realised we were all working with, like myself and Joel and County Lines team, and it was just awesome that we were like, wow, we're all working with them and the school as well, and we all came together, and now it's just a beautiful movement or you know, routine booked in sessions. They know they've got something to look forward to, and it's been a great space for them to sort of outlet and like work on their craft, learn more, get that real support. It's consistent, it's safe, they know they can be themselves here.
I think that when you have to go to lots of different places and you have to repeat yourself to lots of different statutory organisations, because there isn't that necessarily that communication between them, it can be a real barrier to receiving support, and so that's what we hope doesn't happen here. You know, we can be that conduit that talks to each other in order to make sure that people can be supported, whatever their needs.
It's very rare that someone presents with just one issue or one barrier. And I think that's incredibly important to realise and appreciate, because it's only when you actually have a deep value relationship with someone, you actually get to understand that person, build that trust with someone, rapport, where you actually try and understand actually, well, what are the barriers people actually have, some of which are quite entrenched, some of which sometimes aren't very obvious, some of which can be around mental health or wider issues around income and employability or lack of educational training, and that element's important to sort of ascertain and bridge, and that only happens when you're able to offer multiple services under one roof and really drill down and understand what actually is holding people back.
And some things need trust and time as well. You know, you need to be able to come in and talk to the receptionists for a few weeks and be given a cup of tea and just sit there and, you know, look as though you're not doing very much before you actually feel comfortable enough to share why do you keep coming here?
Because we're both charity and NHS, it's really nice to have someone that works within the NHS team in a charity organisation, because we're able to really communicate with the kind of community organisations that operate in Newham, including Community Links. And things like the food bank, that means that if we were to see a service user here, they might be able to access the food bank after, and it just makes kind of their travel easier, and just more kind of wraparound care, I think.
It's nice that we've got a building that is attached and solely for like Catch staff, but also for the public, for the residents of Newham. With so many different heads and so many different expertise and knowledge. So for us, it's our main hub. So we're kind of like remote but hybrid working. So we can come into this building, do a bit of our admin, but also then if we've got clients literally around the corner or a couple of boroughs away, it's very versatile, and it's very diverse. Newham's a very diverse borough. Along with a lot of the other boroughs, we have called upon like our justice colleagues. As I said, our college downstairs, we've had a few referrals, and we liaise quite well with Amanda's team downstairs. We've actually delivered workshops in the college as well to the students as well.
We found, because we do try to focus on the whole person, that if we can help the parents in terms of whatever's going on in their home life, it actually impacts the child and their education. And so our advice team have actually given our parents, the children of our parents, advice in terms of what they're entitled to, what grants they can access, last year we had like a white goods grant where people could access, if they qualified, like, you know, fridges, freezers, washing machines, tumble dryers, all those things that, you know, if it breaks down, what do you do if you are on the breadline, you know? Yeah, we're just really fortunate that we can, this place in terms of community links, it like really feeds into our learners and what they get, and also not just our learners but their households as well. So
each team has a different sort of complex set of tasks that we need to do, and we sort of can respect each other within that, because we all sort of have the same like remit around confidentiality or the sensitive information that we're talking about. So I think each team has a really good understanding of everyone's boundaries, and we can understand and be compassionate with each other when we're talking about these sensitive topics, and we can relate to each other as well when it comes to these things.
I think the building itself is not just a vibe for us. Our commissioners love it. So our NHS colleagues will always come, they will book a room, we always have meetings in here. I think the whole building itself and the whole community setting is very different to other kind of professional settings. So it does, and it's very inviting. And we love meeting our commissioners, we love meeting our funders and having that face-to-face coffee and saying, come over to Community Links is always kind of like really, really, you know, they love it. They would always take them, like, absolutely, we're there and they'll be here.
People are very open and really want to kind of make things happen, and they're very receptive. So it's not, I probably expected that it would be more, we would need to be more kind of like knocking on doors for a long time, but actually people are like, come in, we want you to help us to do something. And people are really open here, which is exciting.
And it really does feel like you are within history when you're here. That still is amazing to me every day. I thought that when I came for my interview, and I still feel it now.
We're a data-driven organisation. We need to be for people to evidence impact, not just to our service users, but to people who support us and our stakeholders. But you only have to see our impact report to see the numbers we support. You know, that 100,000 figure is an incredible figure, just based out of this building here alone. That's phenomenal. And it's, you know, we meet with the management team and delivery teams every day, so you actually live and feel that impact makes a significant difference. You see service users in the building, occupying the space.
I think that's one of the great things as well about having an open plan office, that although I'm not part of any sort of specific frontline delivery stuff, you see people being excited that you know, that they've managed to find someone's housing, you know, or that they've referred someone on to a great course or something like that, and it's really good to be able to see that. But yeah, no, I love working here. I haven't been working here that long, and if I didn't love it, I wouldn't have stuck around. But it's brilliant, and as a whole organisation, what Catch does, what Catch 22 does, is so phenomenal across so many different sort of aspects of delivery. You know, you think here there's lots of different aspects of delivery across the whole organisation. It's phenomenal, and to be able to be part of that is a huge privilege. So yeah, absolutely, I love working here.